Good afternoon. I'm Karina Nova live in the ABC7 newsroom, and we are breaking into our live stream right now to bring you this FBI press briefing. The FBI giving us an update on raids that happened this morning. 8 officers from the Antioch and Pittsburgh Police Department arrested. That's after an 18-month-long investigation, including use of force. They just started this press conference, so let's go ahead and listen in.
His first press conference as U.S. Attorney here. He did conduct a press conference out in Washington, D.C., but this will be his first local. His name is spelled Ismail, I-S-M-A-I-L, Ramsey, R-A-M-S-E-Y. He will be joined by Special Agent in charge of the FBI's San Francisco Division, Robert K. Tripp. Tripp is spelled T-R-I-P-P. 2 P's on that one. Also standing with the U.S. Attorney will be the Chief Assistant District Attorney for Contra Costa County, Simon O'Connell, and several members of the prosecution team for the announcement of the case that you're going to hear about. All the way to my right, your left, will be Alethea Sargent, A-L-E-T-H-E-A, Sargent, S-A-R-G-E-N-T, and then Eric Cheng, C-H-E-N-G, Eric with a C. All the way to my left, your right, will be Laura Vartain and Ajay Krishnamurthy. Vartain is V-A-R-T-A-I-N. And Ajay is A-J-A-Y, Krishnamurthy, K-R-I-S-H-A-M-U-R-T-H-Y. Ms. Vartain is the chief of this office's Special Prosecution Unit. Other attorneys and attorney supervisors who are helping out with the case simply don't fit on the stage, but they're not everyone. After the U.S. Attorney and Special Agent Tripp speak, I will be inviting you to ask some questions. 2 things about the questions, if you would. First, please make them pertinent to today's announcement. And second, if you could try to remember, I know this one is a hard one, state your name and the outlet that you're coming from. It helps us out in so many ways you don't know. And after that, the person who is going to answer the question will likely repeat the question. Not all microphones are created equal, and not everybody's speaking from the same place, so don't let that throw you either. Copies of the indictments are on the back table already. Hopefully you have grabbed one. You see what we are dealing with. Please, 1 per outlet. There may be more people coming in, and hopefully there'll be enough for everybody here. And we'll get started in about 3 to 4 minutes. Just stay cool, and we'll be ready for you. I'll come out and make one more set of announcements, and we'll be ready to go. Thank you.
All right, we are waiting now on the FBI to make this announcement and give us more details as we wait for officials to announce the arrests of Pittsburgh and Antioch officers in this FBI civil rights probe. Just to give you some background information, the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Francisco and the FBI, they're holding this joint news conference where they're expected to announce the arrest of Antioch and Pittsburgh police officers for civil rights violations. Antioch Mayor Lamar Thorpe confirmed that multiple officers were arrested by the FBI today. It was this morning in a civil rights probe that started in early 2022. The FBI and Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office have both investigated the department since early 2022, and the State Attorney General's Office opened its own probe earlier this year. Now, among the allegations are chains of text messages sent between as many as 45 Antioch officers using racial slurs and describing violence against suspects. The texts also described recently retired police chief Stephen Ford, and as many as 45 of Antioch's approximately 100 officers were placed on leave because of the text. And messages left for the Antioch and Pittsburgh Police Departments this morning, they weren't returned, but again, we are waiting any moment now for the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office to give us more details, and we should learn more about these arrests of police officers, again, in the Antioch and Pittsburgh Police Department. So hang with us here. As they just mentioned, it'll be about 2 to 3 more minutes, and hopefully we'll get some more information then.
Right, looks like we're ready, everyone. Please welcome Ismail Ramsey, the United States Attorney for the Northern District of California.
Good morning. My name is Ismail Ramsey. I am the United States Attorney for the Northern District of California. To my right is Robert Tripp, the Special Agent in charge of the San Francisco Division of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. To my left is Simon O'Connell, the Chief Assistant District Attorney for Contra Costa County. Today we are unsealing 4 separate indictments. They allege crimes committed by current and former police officers of the Antioch and Pittsburgh Police Departments. The charges are wide-ranging. They include conspiracy to violate civil rights, conspiracy to violate wire fraud, conspiracy to distribute anabolic steroids, wire fraud, numerous civil rights violations, destruction, alteration, and falsification of records in federal investigations, and obstruction of justice. Before I further describe the charges, I want to emphasize that every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. The allegations in the indictments are just that, allegations. No defendant is charged with all the conduct in all the indictments. And the defendants all are entitled to a presumption of innocence regarding each charge. The crimes alleged in the 4 indictments are organized in this chart. The first indictment charges 6 defendants. I will refer to it as the college degree benefits fraud indictment. The indictment describes how several defendants conspired to defraud police departments, including the Antioch and Pittsburg police departments. The officers claimed that they had earned college credits towards degrees, when in fact they hired people to attend classes and take exams for them. The police department's policies permitted reimbursement of the tuition cost and awarded salary raises to officers who earned college degrees. These defendants conspired to defraud their police departments and to reap the financial benefits of earning college degrees without putting in the work or obtaining the knowledge that comes from real educational achievement. The second indictment charges 2 defendants with conspiring to distribute anabolic steroids. The indictment describes how the defendants agreed to illegally obtain and distribute the drugs. It also describes how one of the 2 defendants allegedly destroyed evidence of the illegal conspiracy. The third indictment charges a single defendant. I will refer to it as the obstruction indictment. As alleged in this indictment, a police officer destroyed, altered, and falsified records in an effort to obstruct a federal investigation. Specifically, the indictment describes how the police officer was assigned to monitor a wiretap, how he used his own personal phone to call a target of the wiretap, and how he then prevented that call from being recorded during the wiretap. The officer then falsified records related to his call. The defendant is also charged with a civil rights violation in which he allegedly confiscated a citizen's phone and damaged it to prevent the retrieval of relevant evidence. The fourth indictment is the deprivation of rights indictment. This 29-page indictment describes a disturbing litany of civil rights violations by 3 officers of the Antioch Police Department. The alleged crimes include the improper deployments of a canine as well as weapons in order to harm individuals in and around Antioch. The indictment describes how defendants boasted about their illegal uses of force in text messages between one another. The defendants also allegedly shared photos of their victims' injuries and even collected, as mementos, spent ammunition from their attacks on the people of Antioch. Collectively, these 4 indictments describe a group of officers who acted as though they were above the law. The officers had no interest in de-escalation or other proper law enforcement tactics to avoid violence. And they had tried to escape scrutiny by, among other things, failing to submit truthful reports and by refusing to properly wear and use their body-worn cameras. Police officers take an oath. The oath is a solemn promise to defend and follow the Constitution of the United States, as well as federal and state laws. Police officers promise both to enforce laws to protect the public and to protect the rights of the accused. That's the job. The indictments unsealed today paint a picture of officers who have violated that oath. When this happens, the damage done to the public trust cannot easily be calculated. This office, however, will not rest until all persons who engage in this sort of behavior are apprehended and prosecuted. The defendants in all 4 cases have been arrested, and a schedule for court appearances is now being worked out. I want to thank Special Agent in Charge Tripp and the Office of the Contra Costa District Attorney, including District Attorney Diana Beckton and Chief Assistant Simon O'Connell, for devoting the resources and the hard work necessary to ensure these charges could be brought, as well as the other hardworking individuals in our office who you also see today, who are the AUSAs who put in the groundwork on this case. We will now hear a few words from Special Agent in Charge Robert Tripp. Bob?
Thank you very much, United States Attorney Ramsey. and thank you all for joining us here this afternoon. My name is Robert Tripp. I am the Special Agent in charge of the FBI San Francisco Field Office. This morning, the FBI arrested 9 subjects identified in the indictments referenced by United States Attorney Ramsey. All of these individuals were previously or are currently associated with either the Pittsburgh Police Department or the Antioch Police Department. None of those arrested were actively engaged in law enforcement, although 3 were current employees of local departments who had been placed on administrative leave. The arrest warrants were served today across the Bay Area, as well as in Hawaii and Texas. More than 100 FBI personnel participated. They were drawn from our San Francisco, our Sacramento, our Los Angeles, our Dallas, and our Honolulu field offices. These arrests are the culmination of more than 2 years of painstaking and methodical investigative work by the FBI, by the United States Attorney's Office, and by the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office. The FBI treated these arrests like any other operation. We used the same processes to assess risk, and we used the same techniques to mitigate that risk. Tactical assets such as SWAT teams, our crisis negotiators, and our surveillance teams supported the operations this morning. This case has been one of the San Francisco Field Office's highest priorities for many months. Law enforcement officers are sworn for a reason. We bear a tremendous responsibility to police our communities lawfully and in keeping with the Constitution, and we must always be true to that oath. Now, we use the term color of law as a shorthand for the idea of using one's official position to deprive someone of their lawful constitutional rights. Color of law violations strike at the very heart of our justice system. They undermine public confidence in the law and law enforcement and erode the fundamental rights of our citizens. Let me be clear, color of law violations will not be tolerated. Not all of the charges referenced by United States Attorney Ramsey involved color of law issues, but those other charges are also very important. They are, in fact, violations of federal criminal statutes committed by sworn officers dedicated to upholding the law, and the citizens of our community deserve law enforcement personnel who practice what they enforce. Any breach of the public's trust is absolutely unacceptable. The operations today make clear that no one is above the law. The FBI and our partners are absolutely committed to protecting the civil rights of members of our communities. We will continue to hold accountable those who break the law. I want to extend my sincere appreciation to the FBI personnel here and across the Bureau that made the operations today possible. I'd like to also extend my thanks to the Contra Costa District Attorney's Office, who have worked tirelessly to bring about the results today. And of course, I want to thank the United States Attorney's Office, whose dedication and unwavering commitment to bringing justice led to these charges being brought forward today.
With that, if anyone has any questions, if you could tell us your name and your outlet.
Yeah, Chris Ancarlo, KCPS. There were named and unnamed people in each of these indictments. Also, we have, I think, 45 officers who are on leave. Could we expect to see more indictments coming down, and is this investigation continuing?
I can tell you that the investigation is still continuing.
Another question?
J.R. Stone with ABC7. So within these 4 indictments, how many officers are we talking about, and how many charges total within all of those officers?
The chart here outlines the charges against the officers. I believe there are 10 officers total.
Are we expecting, Jacob Rogers, Mercury News, East Bay Times, are we expecting any further, maybe state charges as well out of this? And can you also reflect on, I mean, what does this say about the state of policing in East Contra Costa County, given a lot of the allegations?
Good afternoon. Once again, you have been listening to some of the information in regards to the arrests of Pittsburg and Antioch officers by the FBI in their civil rights probe. We heard about some of those violations, the civil rights violations, some of the charges, and got a little bit more detail on those 10 officers from Antioch Police and Pittsburgh Police that are involved. We are going to continue to cover this for you on our next newscast, which is going to start here in just a few seconds, ABC 7 News at 4. So stay right here, stay tuned in for that. We'll have much more coverage for you right now.
Credit scam and distribution of steroids.
Olga Rodriguez with the Associated Press. Can you talk about how this investigation began and just what's happened over 2 years to get us here today?
I don't want to talk about the specifics, of the investigation. I can obviously tell there's been months of hard work put into this by various agencies, and appreciate the partnership of Contra Costa District Attorney's Office as well as the FBI due to that hard work. Obviously, we think these are important cases to bring, and we now are at the point where we have indictments that have been returned and individual officers in custody charged with a wide range of civil rights violations and other charges, including wire fraud and the distribution of steroids.
I'm told more of these officers will be in court tomorrow. Where will they be in court tomorrow? And are these officers all still behind bars?
This case is venued in Oakland. I know there have been, numerous hearings today that lasted up just almost to the point of this indictment. I do believe the schedule for additional appearances are being worked out further, but this case is venued in Oakland.
For the two that were, I guess, presumably arrested in Honolulu or in Hawaii and Texas, are they going to come to Oakland first, or will they be arraigned in those jurisdictions first?
I believe that the arraignments for those typically will happen in the district where they're arrested. There are requirements to be brought before a magistrate in those districts, but this case will be, like I said, venued in Oakland.
Azul Ekman, KQED News. So some officers appeared in court today, but you're saying that this will continue. Not all of them have been arraigned today, and there'll be more coming in the following days.
Correct. If one is arrested out of district, they then have to be arraigned in that district and then brought to here to address the charges on this case. So there were individuals who were arrested out of district.
Thank you.
Perhaps you could put this in context. When is the last time your office had so many law enforcement officers, former and current, arrested at one time? Can you put this in context of other operations involving so many others?
I really just want to comment on these particular set of charges. Obviously, again, as I've said, these are wide-ranging charges. They are civil rights violations, particularly under color of law, are a priority both of the Maine Justice and is announced by the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General, and is also a priority of both my office and the FBI's.
Hi, Sarah Stinson with Cron 4 News. Just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what went into the text messages and actually getting some of these charges, like 4 years ago, some of these text messages, so if you could put into context to that.
Just context to the text messages. Obviously, as laid out in the indictment, there's a series of text messages by officers and between officers in which officers are bragging about and boasting about violating citizen civil rights, and are exchanging photographs and texts regarding the injuries that were caused by those attacks. Obviously, we think this is egregious and serious conduct, and in fact is criminal, and has led to these charges.
What took so long to get the charges when some of these text messages were years away? If you could explain the process of how we got here today.
I would just say that this is a complicated investigation. These always are. We've had dedicated public servants, both from the FBI, and with us we have 4 of the AUSAs who work tirelessly on this case and addressing all these issues and putting together this indictment and presenting it to the grand jury, and they're prepared to take what steps are necessary to prosecute it.
The indictment mentions that Amiri received over hundreds of hours, or was reported to have received over hundreds of hours of training related to the tactics he deployed. Will there be an investigation as to whether that training was validated, like through the department itself?
I would say, obviously, the indictment speaks for itself with respect to the charges that were brought. Our investigation's ongoing, but I don't want to comment on the specifics of that.
One more?
You know, there's so many charges in here. From a personal standpoint, is there one that you look at? I mean, is it the wire fraud, or the civil rights charges that really, you know, get under your skin, or are the most serious of these charges?
Any violation of federal law gets under my skin as the United States Attorney. Obviously, civil rights violations by people acting under color of law is a unique priority of ours, and we think we're uniquely situated to bring those folks to justice and to prosecute those cases. But that I don't want you to think that steroid distribution, obstruction, or wire fraud is not serious. All of those are serious as well, and these are all federal cases.
Thanks so much, everyone. That will conclude the press conference. There will be a press release out in the back in a few minutes. Let me just go back there and make a few copies for you all right?